Välkomna till Rapportkommentarer Direkt. Med oss på länk från England har vi Richard Paxman, VD för Paxman. Hi Richard, how are you this fine Friday afternoon?
Hi, pleasure to be here. I'm very well, thank you. Looking forward to the sunny weekend ahead.
Great news. So you just released your first quarter report yesterday. How would you summarize it?
We certainly did. It was also our AGM, and I was really pleased with our Q1 report. Although we did report a slight slowdown in sales, and not probably where expected by the markets, but actually if we look deeper into that, there's a couple of reasons. So first of all, January we had an extended stock take, and then some slight delays in getting equipment out later in March. So those sales will come in Q2. In addition to that, I think what we should really focus on is what the mix of the sales was. And actually one of the most beneficial or the most exciting parts was our US revenue. So actually if you look into the report, our US revenue in Q4 2018 was between $600,000 and $700,000. By Q1 2019, it was over $900,000. So a great 30% increase from a previous quarter, which was a large mix of the sales for the company. So very pleased. I think in addition to that, if we start to drill down into where the equipment was going, so 119 scalp coolers installed in Q1, and then with another 218 systems still on order. So of course we've already started delivering those into April and May, and that's going very well. So really pleased with the report overall.
Great.
Positive positive EBITDA as well, at 0.9 million SEK, so fantastic. And really those sorts of results now are starting to see a movement into positive operating cash flow. And there we see our investments into the US continue with about 500 systems, as you may have seen also in the report. And that really is where our cash resource is being used. And what is great is we have a credit line available. It was at 10 million SEK at the end of Q1. So really allowing us to continue that growth into the US market.
So you previously said that your target is to grow by 25% yearly. And this quarter you've exceeded that by far. Is it time to revisit this target?
So yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I think our 25% growth was very much looking at our rest of world activities as opposed to the whole company, or the company as a whole, should I say. So perhaps I think revisiting those growth targets may be useful. We've not put any forward-looking statements, of course, but I think if you do look at Q1, and even if we maintain the same level of revenues for Q1, we'd be in a far more superior position than we were 2018. So things are looking very positive. I'm very confident in the business and how we continue to grow.
Great. Last time we spoke, you told us about the research center you've opened with University of Huddsfield. How's that going?
So the research centre is something I'm incredibly excited about, and that's the real focus, about staying ahead of the game, but ultimately making what we do better for patients. So scalp cooling doesn't work for everyone, unfortunately. Although all scalp cooling equipment that's available out there is of a similar efficacy, in fact probably the same efficacy if you look at the clinical trial data specifically and actually look at regimen and dose of chemotherapy. But what we're trying to do is understand where it doesn't work as well and then make it work better. So there's two main functions of that research centre, which is now opened with a large investment of over £1 million initially, but we will continue to fund that through other types of funding over the next 5 years. But primarily we're looking at the biology, so the science. So that's developing a topical product, whether that's a shampoo, it could be a mousse, it could be a spray as a pre-treatment. And that the idea behind that is to enhance the cooling. So what we've seen with the compound that we've developed in the cell culture models is that actually with this compound, with chemotherapy and cooling, we see better cell viability. Better cell viability means less cell death, therefore less hair loss. So really exciting to improve and really chasing that zero hair loss as we talk about. And then in addition to that, we have personalization, which is often where medical systems turn to. And this is really about ensuring the best possible fit on the patient's head with our cooling cap. So that really has an impact on results. And what we do find is every single patient around the world has a very different head. It's unfortunately not a one-size-fits-all.
No, indeed.
So this way, what we plan to do is use 3D scanning technology and then 3D printing technologies. And we've already starting to work on this. And it's really exciting what we can do and ultimately have a huge benefit for the patient.
Earlier this week, you announced that your attempt to make it mandatory for healthcare programs to cover scalp cooling costs in Texas failed. How will this impact your business?
So I think it was disappointing news, of course. We were leading this lobbying, but our colleagues in Sweden and the US did a fantastic job, and the support for it was phenomenal. So from legislators, from the House of Representatives, such a strong support that it should be covered. But unfortunately, it got to a stage where other organisations were involved. There was a large number of mandates trying to be put through to potentially increase the cost of care in Texas, and there was then barriers put up to that.
Okay.
So ultimately, though, we will as a business continue to work on the strategies that we had already in place for gaining reimbursement. This is not a barrier to say Texas will now not cover for scalp cooling. The legislation route was just one route to getting coverage.
I see.
So as a company, we will continue to do what we were doing already. So ultimately finding a CPT code or applying for a CPT code, a HCPCS code, which is a supply code for durable medical equipment, which is our single patient use cooling cap. We'll work with the National Comprehensive Cancer Guidelines and really drive those to actually support the use of scalp cooling. And there'll be other opportunities to lobby through advocacy. So we will get there, and I'm not overly upset about it.
So on a more positive note, you received market approval for the scalp cooling system in Japan this March and got an initial order of 20 systems that are supposed to be delivered in a month's time. Will you be able to deliver on time?
So we will be able to deliver on time, which is great. So very excited about that. So yeah, June is our plan for delivery with ultimately usage of those devices later on in the year. I think what we should mention about Japan is it's been a huge investment for both ourselves and our distributor. It is a long approval process. In fact, I think it's one of the most difficult regulatory processes in the world, which included clinical trials on Japanese patients and quite a strict regulatory approval process with a lot of relationship building. But it is one of the largest, if not the second largest, healthcare system in the world. So a great opportunity and an opportunity for us to use our recurring revenues. So we'll be selling the device to the Japanese market, but in addition to that, we'll be selling our cooling caps as well as a single patient use product. So a vast opportunity for Paxman, which is exciting.
Yes. So before we wrap up this interview, can you please tell us where your focus is this summer?
So my focus on this summer, other than maybe taking a holiday, will be to concentrate on our utilization in the US as well as reimbursement, which ultimately go hand in hand. Whereas my international team, who are fantastic and growing, will be focusing on generating new business elsewhere in the world. As anywhere, it goes a little bit quieter over summer, but with our strong order book, that shouldn't slow us down. So again, excited about the opportunities and what takes us into Q2 and Q3.
Thank you very much, Richard, for answering my questions, and I wish you good luck for the future.
Thank you very much. It's been great to speak with you.